Hey guys, this is Conrad from GOG Boxing, and I know it's been a while since I've posted some videos. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about three things today, but the first thing is a big thank you. We're closing in on 500 subscribers, and I haven't even been posting, and I'm sorry about that. To be honest, boy, it's been since last year, this year, I guess the COVID era has been kind of tough. I was really sick in October, then felt better, and then after the new year I got sick again, and then we had bad weather, and then I got sick again. But I'm going to start to get back to it. But in the meantime, I've gotten a bunch of questions, and I really appreciate you guys. So we're going to talk about three things today really fast. One is last night's fight, the Whyte-Povetkin fight. That was a good fight. The reason I want to talk about it though is COVID. To be honest, this is not knocking Whyte at all. Not knocking Whyte at all. Whyte came prepared. He looked in good shape, a lot better than I've seen him in the past. I thought he really had a good jab. He wasn't going to waste any time because Povetkin's historically dangerous. But man, Povetkin looked rough. Knowing what it feels like after COVID, I'm not surprised. It was just too early for him to take a fight if he really had a serious case in January. I think that's just the way it is. If you saw him walk out, you saw the way he looked, you saw him, I really hope that guy's okay. Not taken away from Whyte, but it is a bit disappointing. But the lesson is take this stuff seriously. If you get it, even if you look at the guys who've had it and come back, even Beterbiev looked kind of not really himself in his last win, and he went through COVID. So take it easy when you have this thing. Come back slow. I know of a case where a guy came back. He started working out 3 weeks hard after he had COVID, and he had a heart attack. And this was a younger guy. He wasn't that old. So be careful with this. I know I'm going to be careful. I think I had the flu. I don't think I had COVID again, but I had the flu and didn't feel good, and so it's going to be slow. But a couple of questions I've gotten I did want to address. One is some people asked, they saw the hand wrap video, and thanks for the positive comments on that, but I did get some people writing me and asking me about doing it the Mexican way, in the sense that where you load up, I talked at the start of that video, you load up on your knuckles, right? And I did it, to tell you the truth, the way I did it in that video is a little bit of a cheater way to also brace your wrists, but also because, to tell you the truth, I don't like it when I'm pulling off gloves, putting them on the bags, and I start pulling the hand wrapping off. But since you guys asked, I'm going to run through this real fast. This is a good way to do it too. I'm not sure if it's exactly how a lot of guys do it or not, but it is kind of way that I've seen it in the past. So if you remember, the way that I did it is I started and I came around the wrist, and then I went around the thumbs, right, and around the thumb, and then I went up, and then I started going around the top of the hand. And so I'm showing you this again just because it's very similar to what I do anyway. And after you go around the top, then what you start doing is you come around here, and then you go through this part, through your pinky, and then you come over, and then you come around, and then you do it again, right? And then you come over the top, so you leave this open, and then you come around, and see, I started on the thumb though, right? I started on the thumb. Now what happens is if you do it this way, is sometimes you wind up, because then you wrap it, you wind up with a lot of thickness here, and some guys don't like that. It doesn't feel good in their gloves, and if you don't have big hands, you don't like it. But the real reason I'm doing this is some people have asked me if I could show kind of the, let's say, the load up way on your knuckles, the Mexican way. I think Pacquiao does this too. And to tell you the truth, the way I do it is really similar to what I just showed you, except I'm not starting at the wrist, right? Now, sometimes I do it this way, sometimes I do it the other way. I think that you should actually learn 2 or 3 ways to wrap your hands. And the reason is if you do something the same way again and again, whether it's an exercise or something like bracing your hands or your ankle, if you do it exactly the same way, your muscles, your bone structures start building up. They get tendencies, and they get strong here but weak here. You get weaknesses on one side of your hand maybe, and on the other side of your hand. I'm old enough that I can feel it. I wish somebody told me this when I was younger, right? Then you get injuries. So I actually don't wrap my hands the same way every time. just like I don't use, sometimes I even use my old gloves, not even the Fairtex ones I showed you, because they have a different feel. And I'm just trying to avoid you know, kind of creating various weaknesses. The same thing with the workouts. We'll talk about that one day. So if you want to try this though with loading up, it's a little bit harder to do, but put on your, you gotta create this cushion, right? So what you do is you wrap it 4 times with your fingers spread, then you pull it off like that, right? You can do it 3 times. 3 times. You can do it 5 times if you want, but get the longer tape. You need the longer tape for this one. So like 180-inch tape. Okay. So then you put it on your knuckles, but you got to keep it there. And this is where it kind of gets frustrating because you pull your thumb out. See, like that. And then you got a couple of times over to get it braced down on your knuckles, right? Then you come down. Then you come down onto your wrist. You go around your wrist. 2 times is good enough. Then once around your thumb, right? Then 1 time around your wrist. Now you're going to go up, and it's going to be just like what we did when I showed you the other way, kind of the fast cheater way. So you went up through from this side up through your little finger, and then you go around, not across your palm, down. You don't go around your wrist again because you're going to run out of tape. You go through your little finger, and go down, right? Right like that. Right. Oop, did I do that right? I didn't do that right. Then you go like this. Then you go around across the top of your hand, around your wrist. Okay, see? Then you go through here. It's the same thing. Around the back of your hand, not across your palm. And then you're down here at the bottom. Now the trick down here is to do what I'll show you now. I'm coming here, but I'm coming under the thumb. Right, so I came around here, then I came under the thumb because you want to lock that thumb, and we've only been around the thumb once. Okay, now, and there you go. And there you go. And then you wrap it a couple of times to lock it in. Okay, and then you can tuck this stuff up if you want. And here it's not as thick. It's not as thick, but you still got a bunch of cushion. And since I crossed, you see, going this way, I've still got some good wrist support. My wrist is not going to go this way and kink on me, okay? This is a pretty good way. If you pull your glove on and off, it's a pretty good way. It stays pretty stable. Like I said, I'm used to doing it this way. Actually, there's a third way I could do it too, and I do it different ways. I don't know. This is a good way though if you got a tight fitting glove and you don't want so much under your knuckles, but it still feels good, so you can wrap it in there, right? And you got your palm loose because you don't need anything on your palm. Okay? I can, if you want, while I talk, I'll do the other hand. I'll do the other hand, and we'll talk about workouts. This is the other question that I've gotten, which is about workouts. Okay, so let's talk about structuring workouts. That's where I've also gotten a lot of questions. I understand that because we have lockdowns. You can't get to the gym. You don't have a coach sitting on your head, and some of you have just been going and you just, the coach told you what to do, or you're hitting on the bags and you didn't really think about it. While I do this, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this other hand just so you can see it, my right hand, in the same fashion. I don't think we really need to talk through it because it's so similar to the other way. I did a whole video on the kind of cheater way to do it, but we'll do both at once. Now, the thing about structuring workouts, and the way I like to do it, and I think this works for somebody if you're my age or if you're younger, you might have to work up to it, right? You might have to work up to the workouts, because that's understandable. But I try to base it on rounds, 3-minute rounds, okay? When you say how many 3-minute rounds, well, I say a good rule of thumb is to go for somewhere between the 8 to 12 range, okay? But it's a little bit more complicated than that, okay? So I'm going around my thumb here, right? So now up through here, this is kind of important. And then we go around the back of the hand. Okay, all right. Now, what you do on that is you're going to try to get in these rounds, but it's not quite as an exact science as what I'm talking about. And here's why. Some of these rounds I'm counting, they're for longer periods, some are for shorter periods. So this is kind of how I structure it. First of all, you got to get a warm-up in, obviously. Especially, one last thing. Remember, you come back around here, get around your thumb, and then you go back this way because you want to lock your thumb in. And then you know we're actually already done wrapping your hands. Okay, so I think you saw how that worked. Now, the way that I do it is, first of all, you got to get a warm-up in. I've done some warm-up videos, even some kind of longer warm-up videos that are a little bit of a combo of everything, which is almost like a workout in itself. But before you even really start that, make sure that your shoulders are stretched out and loose. Make sure your hips are warmed up, your knees are warmed up. You know the drill. You can do almost any kind of warm-up just to make sure those joints are warmed up, and also to make sure that, say if you do a hook, you're not going to pull muscle in your back or tear your rotator cuff. You do have to get loose, okay? I usually throw in some sit-ups in the beginning too. I think sit-ups are important. I do them at the start and at the finish. But that kind of stuff is pretty straightforward. Now, what is important? First of all, you're going to get in a couple of rounds of jump rope. 2 3-minute rounds. Tell you the truth, a lot of times I just do straight 6 minutes, but if you want to do a break, okay. Now we'll count those as 2 rounds, okay? Those 2 jump rope rounds of 3 minutes apiece, okay? After that, you're going to go to your box step drills, to your step drills, and these you can also use a ladder if you want. I've done a bunch of videos on various box step drills using the ladder, getting your fundamentals down. Now, what I do here though, a lot of times I'll mix this up, and sometimes I'll even do it with the neck weights on. You can look at that video, you can look at the chin down video. Right, and those are the types of things that I do. That usually takes 15 to 20 minutes. Now, for some people that's already a workout, and if you want to divide it by 3 and get 5 rounds or out of it, okay. Tell you the truth, I don't look at it that way. I look at it basically as if I count it as basically 2 rounds because it doesn't really wind me. And I'm really thinking about fundamentals, trying to think about footwork. That's kind of how I count it. So let's say now that we're into 4 rounds. Maybe you want to count it as to 5 rounds. The next thing that we're going to try to do after that is, and this is really important, is to get into doing shadow boxing. Now, I try to do 15 minutes straight of shadow boxing. The reason is, not only is it a workout, I'm not talking about just getting out there and throwing combos as fast as you can. I'm talking about thinking, getting your pivots in, thinking about the combos that you know, trying to learn new ones, so you're not doing the same thing again and again. But when you do these long shadow boxing drills, it makes you use your mind. You think also about defense. So a guy throws a jab, you might parry it and follow it. You might parry it and use your right. You might parry it and get ready for that, get a block up because he might be throwing his right, and then get under a hook. You start using your mind, okay? That 15 minutes, I would count that as 3 rounds. The only break I usually take in there though is I'll do like half of that with just hand wraps on, and then half of it with some gloves on, or use some, say, 20-ounce gloves on that are heavier, right? Because I like also to have gloves on, especially if you're a high guard, to know where your hands are and you can feel it and get used to it. You can put weighted headgear on if you want. Never spar or anything with that. But don't do that shadow boxing with the weighted vest if you're really getting hardcore, because that's pulling down on your shoulders, okay? So what do we have now? We warmed up, we got loosened up, we got 2 rounds of jump ropes, right? We'll count 2 rounds of the box step drills, which probably going to last about 15 minutes, really, right? Maybe a little more even. Then you've got 3 rounds because you did 15 minutes of shadow boxing. Right? So let's say that you're in the 7-round range by this time. Now you're going to go to your bags. The way that I break up the workouts during the week on the bags is I'll start out with, say, a heavy bag for 2 rounds or 3 rounds, really probably 3 rounds, and then I'll take, I've got, you may have seen it, I've got this water bag that's about 16 kilos. It's on a chain. I can swing it around, so that means I can practice bobbing under it, doing different combos, stepping all kinds of stuff with it. It's a lot of fun. So I'll do, say, 3 rounds on just the heavy bag, and then I'll do another 2 or 3 rounds probably on that water bag, for example, for one day. So what do we have? We had 2 rounds on the jump rope. We had 2 rounds that I'm counting for the box step drills. We had 3 rounds, so now we're at 7 rounds because we counted 3 rounds for the shadow boxing, and then 3 rounds, and another 3 rounds, okay? So we're already getting up there, and depending on, maybe you want to do an extra round on the bags, or maybe you want to do, sometimes when I'm doing the actual the water bag drill, sometimes I'm wind up, you know, I just like doing that bag drill, and it may go a little longer, okay? But you're already at that time into this range of what I'm talking about, somewhere between 8 to 11 rounds of work. After you do the work, then you've got to remember that it's time to warm down. Sometimes I will throw in some stuff, some work with some kettlebells, a little bit of, you know, some push-ups, a little bit of strength training. That's a little bit of a different topic. I'm not counting rounds there. You don't do that every day at all, though, right? Now, on another day, I might do the 2 jump rope rounds, the 2 rounds worth of the box step drills. I always do that stuff. Then when I get to, then the 3 rounds of shadow boxing. Then after the shadow boxing, then I switch it up. I'll take the double-ended bag out. I might do different tension, so it's faster, slower, higher, or lower. So I'll probably do 3 rounds of that, and then maybe 2 or 3 rounds on the heavy bag, because I'm really concentrating on the double-ended bag, okay? On another day, I might just do just the double-ended bag, right? And sometimes I do that because I don't want to just bash up all my joints. The double-ended bag is a little bit not quite as hard on your joints, and it works on your speed. And then towards the end of the week, I'll go back probably to the heavy bag and to the 16-kilo water bag to finish the week. Now, how many times do I work out in a week? To tell you the truth, 3 to 5 times a week. These workouts usually take about 2 hours. Sometimes I do less, sometimes more. You kind of got to listen to your body, right? The trick is, if you get in there and you, let's say that you have a trainer, you see a trainer once in a while. I know getting guys to do pads, that gets expensive fast, so you may not want to be able to do that often. But if you're working with the guy on the hand pads, you do 3, 4, 5 rounds, you're usually sore afterwards. I know I am. There's a guy that I'm working with. I'm going to have him on the video one of these days. He does hand pads for me. He's actually quite good with all kinds of combinations, and to tell you the truth, if I do 5 to 8 rounds with him, I am sore, and I usually have to take a couple of days break, okay? That is kind of a self-training structure that you can work around, and a lot of that has to do with whether or not you, how you feel. You got to maintain, and you don't want to overdo it with your joints. If your joints getting too sore, you're going to have to slow down, right? You have to slow down. So I hope that helps. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. This is GOG Boxing, Conrad signing out, but I do really appreciate you guys, the likes, the new subscriptions, and the fact I haven't been around because I've been sick and stuff, but I'm going to try to get back to it. And in the future, we're going to talk about some more high guard stuff, because I'm getting questions on that. And all kinds of stuff. I'm going to try to start posting again regularly, and I'm going to have to get back in shape because I've been sick. Anyway, thanks again, and see you soon. Bye-bye. Sarah.